an author. Our speaker, an author. Celebrate Virginia Cookbook. She is also anticipating the arrival of her husband to return from Afghanistan. And I, as a Rotarian, I'm sure all of my Rotarian friends would join me in thanking you and your whole family for what you have given our country. We very much appreciate it. An educator, a historian. She taught elementary school gifted children, is now with the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation as the manager, educational outreach and partnership. It is my great pleasure to introduce Winette Jeffries.
Thank you.
You certainly will.
Well, good morning. I've met some of you and I feel at home. It's wonderful. I do feel at home in Southside, Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, and he mentioned our book, Celebrate Virginia. My honor was to go off of that with Rowena Full and Water, and we miss her to this day. And of course, she did much for this community. The cookbook was for the 400th of Virginia, and so we made sure there were recipes from all over this great Commonwealth and history with it. I'm here this morning to embrace what you do with service to the community, and as an educator, Colonial Williamsburg has given me opportunity with my background to understand the shoes of the teacher and bring the foresight of what can make a difference for our kids in the schools today, and in particular the public schools I'm referring to this morning, not to leave out the private school children, the homeschool children. Their wonderful applications in education are going forward. It's the public schools, though, that still need some assistance with achieving some of their goals and how to go about them. So that, and it's kind of cute, you know. But I do think what we need to remember as residents of this area is that, yes, we're many entities, but the realm, the border, so to speak, going up north is Williamsburg. And we are just as much part of Hampton Roads as any other entity. And so I'm here today to be a good neighbor. We look to different communities that come to Williamsburg with opportunities. Sometimes it's a school division, sometimes it's a club, or it might be a corporate or a civic group. And we try to make a special event for them, or we try to offer something special if a group of you want to do something. And we think, well, a lot of people came years ago and they think, well, it's not going to change because it really is supposed to. But we do evolve. We do offer more drama in the streets now than you'll ever remember if you've come in the past. And you can hear it because they have hidden little microphones, so you know you are involved more than ever. And you also have opportunity if you have children in your family or grandchildren that you want to bring. There's opportunity to get them excited because we now have something, and it's in your brochures. I have some things for you today. Something called RevQuest. They use their phone, their smartphone, and it's more or less a scavenger, not for items so much as people. And we place historic elements within the day for them that they are finding clues and getting clues from people who are stationed ready to help them. It's an exciting game that we made about 2 years ago, and by popular demand it's in its 5th edition. There's so many children and families from, as they say, 8 to 88 that are enjoying this. Now we're developing it by popular demand for classrooms. And it takes a lot more staff to pull this off, but we do it. And so we're excited about that. And we do it for scouts. So what I want to do is tell you that as a teacher, a former teacher, and going to Colonial Williamsburg a little over 2 years ago, a grassroots program is in place to recapture Virginia students coming with their teacher to Colonial Williamsburg. The reason we have that need is because I discovered 7 other states are bringing classrooms to us before Virginia. That is uncanny to me. I did say a moment ago, I'm from Nashville, I grew up there, and everyone hasn't been to the Grand Ole Opry, but a lot of them can sing though, you know. You all did very well, by the way. But I'm finding that a lot of people in our area don't find themselves on the streets of Williamsburg or Jamestown or Yorktown, maybe as much as they used to. And I think it's very important that we still instill the idea of citizenship, the idea of the birth of our nation, the revolutionary feel in the air, and remind them that this is how our country began. And so if you went as a child with your class, or if your children or grandchildren that are older went as a class, just know that today's children in public schools are not getting to go. It's very rare because the PTA or someone would have to delegate that as the one thing to invest in that particular year. I'm not here to ask your club for money in any way. I am wanting to inform you, however, of the need of the school districts that have requested assistance from us. We have been getting letters from Superintendent of Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Isle of Wight, Chesapeake, just right off the top of my head. Those are Surrey. Those are school districts asking me to help them connect with the community to help them get to come. By doing that, we become a partner in the endeavor because we make our price just cover our guides instead of regular, even group admission for students. But we can't pay for the gas for the bus, and we can't pay for the driver. So they're needing assistance with that. Even if we give them a free ticket, they can't come. They need transportation assistance. So I have visited several of your districts to get to understand where each one is in this request. Isle of Wight, they need, for example, $4,800. Their whole 4th grade to come. It's more, the more students, of course, so Virginia Beach would be more, Norfolk more. But the reason I relay this to you is some of you may know of a corporate or a historic society or someone that might be interested in helping some of these kids get to come and make it happen for them and make it happen for their teachers, because it changes the way they teach if they know they have that valuable experience to offer, either as an introduction or a mid-study or as a review, a culminating event to prepare for their SOL test. And so what we do is we customize it specifically for whatever SOLs each district has need for. So it is very valiant for being individualized. And we don't leave anyone behind. That's why I say total grade 4, total grade 5, whichever grade the district is asking our help with, we give. So far we have 6 districts covered. On the peninsula, some on the Middle Neck, about 5,600 kids are covered for this school year to come free with their teacher to Colonial Williamsburg. So we're really proud that that's going to happen for them. So now we're reaching to help Southside with this. It still amazes me that 7 other states are bringing those classrooms to Colonial Williamsburg. We're glad they're coming. We just want our own babies to be able to come as well. But when we look at Colonial Williamsburg as a neighbor to your area here of Hampton Roads, I'm wanting to think that some of you may have come maybe perhaps just for dinner at a tavern. Have any of you had that experience? I'm sure you probably have. Also, you might come when you have company in town. But I was thinking, come for yourself, just to see what's new. You might want to get involved with some programming. We have some wonderful evening programming, and I won't read the brochure to you. You have time to do that. But we also are a full resort. When I travel, and they do send me all over the nation, I'm not shy. So I was in Massachusetts, which is another revolutionary-minded state. Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, they're right on the page with Virginia, even though they have to admit we were first. You know, it's what it is, first colony. They are curious about what we do, for example, in relation to what Boston might present, or what they may be doing around Independence Hall in Philadelphia. They compare Williamsburg with those large cities. We're finding that as the largest living history museum in the world, we're reeling them in because of the total immersion. And if you haven't been in a while, you might want to come and enjoy some of that again and see how it's relevant even more with the drama. And so if you come for yourself, just keep in mind we do have passes. Of course, Virginia, right now, if you're a Virginia resident, you get a good deal for the rest of the year. And grand illumination, it might be that your club would want to come as a group or rendezvous there on a Saturday. And if a lot of you want to do that, I'll help you out with some pricing, because you know why? Because you do so much service to our community. That's why. And I was hearing a conversation about some of the things you may be raising money for, and we certainly applaud that. And I think those in the community who make a difference, we need to help each other out. We're making a difference with education. You're making a difference probably in many areas, including education, and we do appreciate that. And I hope that the Hampton Roads or Cova area, Tidewater, what are the other names we're called? We're called a lot of things, aren't we? That we can get a feel for being a good neighbor to each other. If any of you, and I have my cards here today, if any of you ever say, oh, Winette, my company wants to do something at Colonial Williamsburg, can you help me out with something special or pricing or something, can you give me a call? Now, my forte is really the education partnership aspect, but to me, since you are in such service to the community, I'll connect you to hospitality or whomever to make what you are looking for happen. Now, grand illumination, I did mention that, and it will be mentioned in your literature here. When is the last time, or have you been, to grand illumination? Did any of you go last year? How about the year before? Better weather. We had 50,000 people there when we have good weather. And that may scare you off. It's like, I'm not going to go. Do you know, when I stood near the palace, that's where I volunteered to be that night, and I had a flashlight showing me where the restroom path was. You know, that was my big job. But anyway, managers volunteered that night, so there I was. I would ask people that I chatted with, I'd say, which state are you from? I counted 18 different states. And that was just at my one station. Lawn chairs from Nebraska, lawn chairs from Tennessee, go Vols, and also a lot of local people, most of them were from Virginia Beach. And I was pleased as punch about that, because they had gone through the Bridgestone to come see everything and hear everything. And I had one gentleman tell me, he said, I had my neighbors wouldn't come, my girlfriend wouldn't come, but I always come because I just won't miss it unless I'm sick. He said it's worth driving through the tunnel twice tonight to get to see this. And he said that he claimed it as a local hometown event, even though he lived in Virginia Beach. And there has been talk of getting a shuttle to us, especially for seniors here in your area, possibly with the Founders Inn that's been kicked around, or maybe from other museum sites, Chrysler or something, so that citizens from this end of town who don't want to deal with that tunnel and drive it can ride it and come see us for the day. And there's also opportunity for citizens that may have mobility issues to just come to our museum. And you don't have to walk the mile-long Duke of Gloucester Street to enjoy something special with us. You can come and stay indoors, have a cafe, have a nation builder speak to you for an hour like Thomas Jefferson or Martha Washington, and yet you tour our art museum all under one roof with complete comfort of air conditioning or eat whatever you need. And you have a day at Colonial Williamsburg that way, and then shop if you want to. I like that. But so there's other ways to enjoy Colonial Williamsburg other than thinking you're coming up to walk the mile and sweat in the heat or be cold. There's other ways, especially as our neighbors, that you can do that. And then the opportunity with a pass to return and maybe bring your family or whatever. So when you get an idea that you're just itching to learn some more history, we need to see you there and let you enjoy the new way that we visit the past. And also, you'll see quite a few changes if you haven't been in a while. We have a new tinsmith shop that was built on the foundation. We have something called the Coffee House, which you may have seen the past few years. That's one of my favorite places. The Charlton Coffee House. When you go in, at first they tell you about the exterior with the excavation and how we knew it was there and what it looked like. When you go in the first room, I'll give you the hint because they'll ask you what's different about this room from others in Williamsburg. It has carpet. It has carpet and it has wallpaper that's elaborate. That's because they said the guy that owned it, Mr. Charlton, has the money to do that. And it was right next door to the Capitol, so a lot of the Burgesses would come there. Well, when you go in the back, you see the business office. Finally, you go to the actual coffee house area where they actually have servings for you to choose from free as part of your admission. And you sit and chat with other guests at tables, and you either have American Heritage hot chocolate, which is not the sweetest, but it is chocolate, please. And also, you'll have coffee or maybe a hot tea offered to you. And you have your own little cup and saucer, and you're sitting around, and you never know who's going to come in. In fact, I work there, and I don't know who's going to come in. It might be someone coming in to mop the floor, and they're going to interact with you. It might be the president of William and Mary or George Wythe coming in from the law school. Or it could be George Washington. And you interact for about 15 minutes, just your company of guests. That is the neatest thing. I've never gone and had the same person be in there twice. And I've gone several times taking guests. One day I took some Chinese students in there with their high school principal. And before we started the tour, I said, do you want me to get a Chinese interpreter to lead the tour for you? He says, no, we want English. We want colonial English. So we ended up having that because that's what everyone's going to do. Oh, we can do that. But he didn't want a guide to speak Chinese. He wanted them to hear it in English. And I took them in there, and the biggest problem was, what are they going to choose to drink? Do they want the hot chocolate? Do they want the coffee? So it took a little time. But they were enthralled with one of our tradesmen that made the wigs, and him talking about who had too big a head, and all these funny things. And then the term flip your wig and all that. So all these little things came out. And one day George Washington's in there just staring out the window, and we're sitting there, and these ladies are from Roanoke. And so they didn't know who he was because he looks a little different. George isn't the older George at that point. It's early 1770s, so he's a younger George, and you don't know who he is until he says it, unless you were there every day. And so he's looking out the window and he's saying, my wife is taking so long in that shop. He was a husband waiting for his wife to shop, and yet they didn't know it was George Washington. They thought it was just some dude that works at a blacksmith shop or something. And so he was saying, and I have to go, and I need to get back to the Capitol. And then he came and sat down with us, and he says, "Madam, from whence have you come today?" And you know, and they were saying, "We're from Roanoke." He says, "Ah, yes, I have surveyed out that direct." And the more he talked, then they started to grasp, this is George Washington. And so he said, "Might I introduce?" And he said, you know, George Washington. And they were going, "And your wife shops here?" You know, and you know, he was then going at him. And another time I was in there, and this professor from William and Mary was there, and he wanted to hurry it. We'd been there a while, and this one man said, "Can I have a second cup?" And usually we don't have time for that because there's just 15 minutes. And he said, "Oh no, I'm already paying for enough of you." You know, it just gets, it can be funny, it can be more solemn or whatever. But when George Washington was there, she was saying, "Have you seen any Indians lately?" He says, "Madam, of which do you speak?" He didn't know the term. He was saying natives, you know, or whatever. It was just the inclination of the speech and staying in character. So it can be surprising. It's worth driving up there just to go and Charlton Coffee House. I'm just telling you that. But another aspect to coming, of course, is the nighttime programming, like I mentioned. So look at that. We have Cry Witch. Have you seen that? Any of you? That has to do with your area. Witch Duck Road is related to Cry Witch. That would be...
Witch of Pungo.
I'm sorry?
It's about the Witch of Pungo.
Yes. And so you can come and hear about your distinctive geographic area if you come to Cry Witch and go in the Capitol. And you may be part of the jury. Because every audience votes on whether she's guilty or not, if she truly is a witch or not. Grace Sherwood was the name. And the trial is specific with the records on file there in Williamsburg. So that brings it home here in many ways. And you can also be involved with, of course, the music, the art, and all of the aspects of what we offer. And we're glad to be your neighbor. And if there's anything I can do for you, come get my card and be in touch with me, and let's stay in touch and see what we can do to be a better neighbor to you as you serve our community. Anyone have a question? Yes.
In years past, you don't hear much about it anymore. What about diplomatic VIPs coming down from Washington to show the founding of America? Is that still going on? But
there are still
saying that Williamsburg, you know.
There are still several coming, and of course we're in conjunction with Jamestown on that and Yorktown. And that is not the division I'm serving, but I do hear about VIPs coming and how it is an introduction to America. And also there's some celebrities coming. Tom Hanks is there quite a bit and likes to do filming there. But we find ourselves more and more on the map. More and more on the map. Yes, sir.
Just two comments. One, I have family in Richmond. We enjoy coming to Williamsburg as sort of the town main street. We have a nice meal, and then we walk the mile.
Good.
And walk it back. And
walk the dog.
A very entertaining evening. My other comment was that I prefer the title for the area to be Swampside, Virginia, which would be Schwaba.
Let me give that to Virginia. I am in the right group. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Go away. Thank you very much. We've got one more task for you.
All right.
Draw the winning ticket.
The one that you put the little...
Paul was trying to get you to draw his, but we'll see what happens.
There we go.
Last three.
Oh, you're becoming a piece. Okay. 839. 839.
Who is 839?
Chan left early. Was it his? Oh, it's Bill. All right. Thank you, folks. Have a great week.